imagine more stories that soar, business, life, and so much more. Laughs, lessons, and local delight. It's the podcast that feels just right. It's the Imagine More podcast.
Welcome back to the Imagine More podcast, where stories connect us, community inspires us, and every conversation opens a window into the people shaping everyday life here in Moore County. I'm your host, Rose Young, educator, entrepreneur, podcast host, and eternal optimist about our beautiful area. Today, we get to sit down with someone whose work touches families, young people, and the very fabric of justice in Moore and Hoke Counties. Judge Beth Tanner serves this community as a district court judge with a deep commitment to fairness, opportunity, and service. She's an advocate for kids and families, the founder of the only mock trial teams in our district, a longtime teen court volunteer, a debate coach, and she's on her way to becoming a certified juvenile court specialist, all while holding an advanced LLM degree, the only judge in our district who has one. Beth is a childhood cancer survivor, a mother of two, a wife to a town commissioner, and the owner of one of the most charming Victorian homes in Carthage, complete with staircase carvings shaped like gavels. No way.
Yes.
Her life is full of story and symbolism, and so is her work. And what I love most is that behind the robe is a woman who leads with compassion, listens deeply, and believes in the possibility of every person who comes before her. Beth, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here today.
I'm excited to be here.
Let's begin at the beginning. Before the bench, before the mock trial teams, before the robe. Your story has so many layers. Eastern North Carolina roots, growing up in your parents' pharmacy, surviving childhood cancer, studying Romance languages, and then leaping into law. I have to hear about all of that.
Yes.
What shaped you and how did this path unfold for you?
So I think my parents, I'm an only child.
Oh, me too. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom and dad, my dad was a pharmacist and my mom was a nurse. We lived in a small town, much like Carthage, it's still small.
That's right.
And they had a pharmacy and it served the community. At the time, pharmacies were really small businesses. We weren't Rite Aid and Walgreens.
Oh, no kidding.
They were tiny places. And my dad, he didn't have big childcare things happening, so he would pick me up from school or my mom would, and they'd take me to the pharmacy, and that's where I was. And when the business closed for the day, my dad delivered medicines to people at home.
Really? Oh,
That's
my
what he did.
goodness.
Yeah. And I think about that a lot because it's kind of a fabric of a community where, people who couldn't get out of their homes, there was somebody checking on them. He'd deliver them every week,
That's
I mean, to
right.
somebody. And I was there with him. And just their commitment to service. I mean, it was their job. It was how they made their living. But certainly he didn't have to go out and deliver medicines. He didn't charge extra for that. He just did it.
Yeah.
My mom was the same. She would take people's blood pressure. And that's just kind of, I think that really impacted me because they were part of the community and they served the community. That was kind of what they did.
And what lessons from that environment still guide you, how you serve your community today?
So I think from that is learning that even though something is your job, it can be part of improving the world around you.
Oh, yes.
So from early on, I didn't look at any career, I think, that ever was anything but what is this going to do to improve the life around me? And as I had my own children, I sort of understood that my parents saw that as important because they were creating the world they wanted me to live in.
Yes, I love that idea.
So I think that's really impacted the path I chose.
Oh, and you survived childhood cancer.
I did.
Did that shape your compassion or the way you handle difficult moments on the bench, you think?
Yes. So I was 6
My
and
goodness.
I had retinoblastoma, which is a cancer of the eye. So I lost my right eye.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And a lot of my time was spent in the hospital for a good bit of time. And I met a number of kids that were around my age, and they had other types of cancers. And so I think it teaches you a lot about how to get through a difficult situation, but also to recognize that there are other people around you living in a difficult situation too.
Right.
So it's not just you. You know,
That's
sometimes
right.
when you're going through something hard, it's not just you. As far as living compassion on the bench, I think what it teaches you is that everybody comes into your courtroom with something happening in their life that may not be the thing that brought them to your courtroom. So they could
Right.
have 10 other things going on, and that those things can really impact you. My parents were running a business while they were also caring for me with
Right.
cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
And they had just opened their
You were
business
so
when that happened.
young.
Right.
Mm.
So I think the other part of that is kind of it informed a little bit of my faith. You know, my mom used to tell me that when I was sick, she said, I know God gave you to me. And I sometimes felt very selfish, like, how could you do this? God, how could you give me this child? And now she's sick and you might, take her away. And she said, I had to learn that I had to release that to God. And I think a lot about that with some of the things that happen in life. Sometimes you just have to say, hey, I have this faith. God gave me this. And I have to release the outcome to him.
Yeah. And I really like the description how when someone comes before you, you see the whole person, not just why they're there.
Right. That's right.
All right. So I'm really curious about this romance languages to the law thing. How did that shift happen? And was there a moment that clicked?
So, yes, potentially with the romance languages. I took the lowest level math you could possibly take in college.
Math patterns.
Right. I pretty much almost failed that class. And I was like, well, medicine's not for me. I'm not going to go be a doctor. And I went through, I was a double major, but romance languages, I concentrated in Spanish literature, which is,
Spanish literature.
Yeah, I can read Don Quixote, but I probably don't speak a lot of Spanish and English. And it was kind of a natural progression to go to law school. I thought about teaching. I taught for a summer under another teacher, and I thought, nope.
No.
So,
but you're so good with the kids.
I know. So it worked out, right? Yeah. So maybe it worked out. But yeah, and I thought for a while I'd be an immigration attorney, and that was just a lot of paperwork. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this.
Wow.
Yeah. But so it was kind of natural that law school was the next step.
Okay. Where did you go to law school?
Campbell.
Yeah. So you have said that working with teenagers is one of the highlights of your career. Teen court, mock trial, debate. What draws you to mentoring young people?
So the best part about working with teenagers is that they are actually really amazing people. They're just, they're not quite fully adults. So we learn a lot in all these juvenile classes that I've been taking about brain development. And so teenagers don't quite have that part yet where they know to not say things or,
No filter.
And so, it's just it's really fun. The other kind of really fun part about it is that teenagers are at the point in their life where you can really be part of imprinting on them whatever it is that they're going to go be amazing at.
Oh,
so you can.
It's like a teacher.
Yeah, it is. But it's like you're looking at this child. I had a student last year, and I'll never forget, she had never done mock trial before, and she did it. And I remember she stood the first time I gave her opening statement, and I just thought, well, this is her calling. She is made to do this. And I told her that. And I saw her parents last week, and they said, she still remembers you saying that. But it's fun. What's so fun about it is to watch them become these amazing people. Even if they don't come on to be attorneys or whatever they're going to do, it's just cool to see them develop some really neat skills.
Yeah. And you really don't realize until something like that happens how much you say really affects what they think and what they feel about themselves.
Right. And I have my own teenagers. One of my children is 19, and then I have a 15-year-old. But I tell parents all the time, I say, the fun part for me is they enjoy being with me most of the time, And I say, so I just get all the fun parts of the teenagers, right? Not always in court. Sometimes there are hard parts too, but it's just, it's hard when you're parenting a teenager. Yeah. So I get the easier part.
And girls too.
Yes. Yes.
Girls are different.
They are.
I have 3 girls of my own and then 3 grandsons.
Okay.
Totally different.
Yeah. Wow.
How
Yeah.
they handle things.
Yes.
Conflict, the whole work.
Yes.
Totally different.
That's true. Boys have a way different way to manage conflict than girls. And I guess I see that in myself too, right? We think about it and overthink about
That's
it.
right. Oh, no. Okay, so you do mock trials
Mhm.
and debates and teen court. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, Teen Court is a diversion program that we have in Moore County and Hope County. It's actually funded through your Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. So, there's a grant that comes in from the federal government, and we get it a block grant to the state, and then the state passes it out to the counties, and we get to fund these programs.
Okay.
And the teenagers who are in Teen Court are two types of teenagers. One is a teenager that's been referred to teen court because they're a first-time offender, somebody that's gotten in trouble, they got in a fight at school or something like that.
Okay.
And then the other is volunteers, and the volunteer teenagers act as attorneys. They act as the bailiff and the clerk. And then we have the jury members. The jury members can be volunteers, but they can also be these teenagers that have been in trouble and have been sentenced to come back and do jury duties.
Really?
And the case is heard, and the goal is for the teenager to take responsibility, but then for the other teens to sentence that teenager.
Oh, my goodness.
Of course, they have they've got a sheet that they can choose from, but it's stuff like community service and classes you can take and jury duties. And it's fascinating to watch the program. Out of that program, we did not have a competition mock trial team that went to the state competition through the North Carolina Associates for Justice. And so I started these kids were really good. And I said, well, let's try this.
Really?
And so that's how we got mock trials started. And now we've expanded it. We have still have a team out of the volunteers at Teen Court.
Yes.
And of course, anybody could really join, even if they're serving Teen Court jury duties. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then teacher at Pinecrest, I connected with him and he started a team and I work with him too. So we now have 2 teams in Moore County that go to this regional competition in February. It's really fun. And debate was my kiddos were out of school and I said, well, let's try this program. And so we did it and it was really fun. I did one semester at Union Pines and then my youngest child's at Sandhills Classical Christian. So we do it there. And it's amazing to watch that. Yeah.
I'm wondering, listening to you, Beth, how many hours are in your day?
Yeah, it's busy. It's busy, but it is fun. And I'll tell you, mock trial is great for me because it keeps me up to speed on my evidence rules. So I'm ready in court.
Now, do the teenagers tend to be harder on each other than?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really do. And they're also really able to tell when a teenager is taking responsibility and when they're sort of making a joke out of it.
That's huge.
Yeah, and they'll kind of throw the book at somebody if they, yeah. And I think it's good because peers are so good at encouraging each other to be better.
Yes.
So,
and they listen to each other more than they do. Yes.
That's right.
Okay, do you have a favorite mock trial or debate moment, something funny or inspiring?
Oh, wow, yes. So inspiring is that last year, I had a parents who had never come and seen their child at mock. I had no idea, the kid came to practice and everything was awesome, but they could come and watch the competition.
Okay.
And this child got and gave, it was another opening statement. And I turned around and her dad was crying.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought,
seriously?
Yeah, because he was like, wow, because they put so much work into it, So that moment was very inspiring. Another really inspiring moment I had was I had a student at Teen Court, and this young person that was there as a defendant, they had done something wrong, they were taking responsibility, was having a really hard time. And I looked over at the person who was acting in the role of the state, and he had walked over to the table where the defense attorney and the student was, and he put his hand on his back and he said, hey man, it's going to be okay.
Really?
And I thought, oh, well, look at there, we're learning compassion in real time.
Where are my Kleenexes?
Yeah,
I should have had Kleenexes for this interview.
That's right.
So I would like to talk a little bit about for business owners, because we have a lot of listeners that are entrepreneurs and business owners. So what misunderstandings do business owners often have about the law?
So, wow, that one's a little bit of a tougher question. So I think for business owners, what I want to have people understand is when you're making a business or when you're doing a contract, you should always do that with the plan that you're going to end up in litigation.
Oh,
So a lot of
yeah.
people, when they're drafting contracts, you like it, right? Like you've got this relationship with somebody, you want to buy their product or you want to be part of what they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And that's all great. But you don't need a contract when things are good. You need it when things are bad.
Right.
So
That's so important.
when you're looking at an attorney to help with those things, I often tell people you want somebody that has litigated some, that has been inside a courtroom, because they're going to tell you where the pitfalls are because they've dealt with them, inside that. So I think that's a really important part is when you're thinking about your contracts or when you're creating your business, like your LLC or your partnership or whatever, you want someone who knows where your pitfalls are.
I would not have even thought of that. Yeah. Because you get so excited, like you said. And,
right.
Yeah. That's good advice.
You love your partner until you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, there's not really an in-between.
Landlord or,
Right.
So what's one piece of advice you wish every business owner knew before signing a contract?
Yeah, so probably right along those same lines, that the purpose of the contract is to fix it when it's bad. So the purpose of a contract is to control behavior when the behavior has gone off the rails a little bit. And contracts shouldn't be scary. In fact, marriage is one of the biggest contracts you're going to make in your life if you get married.
Yeah. And you should look at it the same way?
Correct.
In litigation?
Yes, you should. Marriage is a business. Yeah, marriage is probably the biggest business decision you make,
No kidding.
And I've been married 20 years. And when my husband and I got married, we had 2 pennies to rub together. You know what I mean? We didn't have anything. But particularly if you come into marriage, same thing with businesses, with assets, you want to make sure that there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. So I tell people that it's kind of, don't feel bad about that. You want to protect yourself if you need to with whatever contracts you need for that.
Oh, thank you. Those are 2 great pieces of advice. When should someone represent themselves, or should they ever represent themselves in court?
I say never. I say never. But we do. An important thing to understand about North Carolina law is if you represent yourself, you are treated the same as if you have gone to law school, know the Constitution, understand your rights, understand the rules of evidence. The judge cannot help you. That's what the law says.
Okay.
So we just have to kind of sit there and watch you do the best you can.
Flounder.
Yeah.
And you see them get in trouble, that there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
Oh, God.
And lawyers do know those rules. And I often tell people, you would not go and say, I've got back pain. Let me do back surgery in my kitchen and see how that goes.
Right.
You're going to hire a surgeon.
Exactly.
Same for lawyers.
Thank you, lawyer.
I don't really recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because, you hear that all the time.
Right.
You know how goofy people are if they represent themselves. So what helps you stay grounded in the midst of difficult cases?
So sometimes it is hard and I have to take a break. Difficult cases can range from, criminal cases to I do abuse, neglect, dependency court.
Tough.
I think what I try to remember is that the people elected me, they gave me this privilege, and I ground myself in they have come to me with all their broken pieces, and I'm going to do the very best I can to get it back on the right track. But I am only one person. Everybody kind of has to buy into that. And it helps me to leave the cases and not take them home.
Right.
But I think you also have to have grace for yourself. You don't always stay grounded. Sometimes you have a hard day and you go home and you're not very nice to your family. Or you do need to take a break. So I think also being able to recognize that secondary trauma is affecting me right now. And I need to take a break, you know. And I need to kind of come back regrouped, or I need to tell, we have a chief who assigns us in courts like, hey, maybe I need a break from this court. I think all those things are true. But mostly kind of recognizing the privilege I've been given and kind of just going back and taking a deep breath will help me.
So how long did that take you to figure out?
So before I started being a judge, as an attorney, we had started having conversations around secondary trauma. I did a job where I reviewed old cases. And my job in that job was to review a lot of the old sexual assault and rape cases.
Oh, gosh, Beth.
And I had to start, it did impact me.
Yeah.
And I started seeing that in my life.
Really?
And I had a good friend say to me, I think you might be having some secondary trauma. So I started looking into it and just educating myself. So I kind of came to the bench with that.
Right.
We are also in North Carolina, my new judges school. So I was elected in 2022, and we go to this week-long training called New Judges School.
Okay.
But we were the first class of new judges who were required to take trauma training.
Really?
So they kind of taught us from the front end, this is how you can recognize that in yourself.
Right.
So
Good for us.
yeah, I think it was good. I think it teaches us some things to
Yeah.
recognize. Mm-hmm.
I like that. All right. Let's see. Tell us about what kinds of cases, because do you go, I don't understand.
Yep.
Do you have like all this type of case with juveniles, or then you go to what you were talking about before, and then are there all kinds of different courts and then you get assigned, or how does that work?
Yes. So district court generally handles the bulk of the types of cases in the court system.
Okay.
So we do all misdemeanor crimes. We do
Okay.
domestic violence. We do civil cases that are under $25,000, so like your car wreck.
Okay.
We do all appeals from the magistrate, like evictions and all that stuff. So we
Okay.
handle all of that. We also have what we call exclusive jurisdiction, which means we are the court with the job over juvenile delinquency, so juvenile crime, and abuse, neglect, dependency court, and also family court. So everything
my
involving
goodness.
divorce, child custody, equitable distribution of your property, all of that we handle. So we have the way the assignments work is we're elected, so we can hear any type of district court case, but we are assigned in the court day by our chief district court judge. So he's kind of like above us. We're all elected officials, but he assigns us in.
Okay.
And he also decides who is going to be a juvenile judge and who is going to be a family court judge. Not everybody is.
Oh, okay.
So I will have per month, I go through all of those courts. So you rotate through all of them.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
So you want to do certified juvenile. You've already certified as a juvenile
I
specialist.
finished my last
Right?
class today.
Did you?
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
Tell us what that means and what that does for you.
Yeah. So the School of Government at UNC Chapel Hill, working with the big umbrella administrative office of the courts, like the North Carolina state group kind of over judges, has created a program where judges who are in juvenile court can do a certain amount of juvenile court and go to these classes.
Okay.
It's a commitment. I'm in class about every other month for about 2 years I've been doing it.
Really?
And the goal of it is we do take specialized training. So we take things like child development for judges. So you're familiar with that because you're a teacher. Well,
Right.
Nobody teaches lawyers about child development, So we take that. We take substance abuse classes about how that impacts the brain. Today, I took a deep dive into writing dispositions for juvenile court. I took a class about the Indian Child Welfare Act. We just take a class on all these things that come up in juvenile court.
Yeah.
And through that, we become specialized. So when we complete those classes and complete our time in court, we are specialized. So I finished my last class
That
today.
is so exciting that
Yes.
you finished it today.
Yes.
So what have you learned from statewide panels about juvenile resources and court-appointed attorneys?
Yes. So you have the right to an attorney in a criminal case. Everybody knows that if you're a criminal defendant. And if you're indigent, we appoint you an attorney.
Okay.
You also, though, have the right to counsel in cases where the Department of Social Services has removed your children from your care. And the reason for that is because you have the constitutional right to the care, custody, and control of your own children.
Okay.
And so on the statewide panels, what we're working on, we're kind of going around the state because we all have a real shortage of attorneys because those attorneys are paid $65 an hour. And that seems, you think to yourself, oh, that's a lot of money. It is not a lot of money. In comparison, many private attorneys charge between $375 and $450 an hour.
Exactly.
So it's not. And so we're having a hard time with that. So what I have become part of kind of by accident is because we kind of had a crisis in Hoke County and I had to figure some things out.
Right.
And so I worked with some other folks and I ended up kind of going around the state to talk about what I did. But from that communication came what other judges were doing.
Okay.
And so that's what we're learning is kind of how can we solve this problem of needing these attorneys because there's a constitutional right to one.
Yeah.
But also recognizing that we don't have enough. And what do we do here? So that's what kind of figuring out as we go around the state.
Have you figured anything out?
I have.
Yeah.
So, it's simple things like how do we make an attorney's day easier so they can go to more courts? Things like using WebEx. Things like I do a meeting. I have abuse, neglect, dependency court on Fridays.
Right.
So I do a meeting on Mondays on WebEx, and I ask my attorneys, do you have other courts to be at? Ask the social workers. You have other things to do. And we organize our day. This is a simple thing.
Right.
I write a thank you card to every single attorney that takes appointed cases.
That goes a long way.
It does. I figured out a process by which, some attorneys, if I called 75 attorneys one night.
Oh, no.
But we'll take cases, on a case-by-case kind of basis.
Right.
I've also gotten some cool ideas going to other parts of the state about how to go to some larger firms and get some associates to kind of come in and so they can learn practice. And
well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's right. So it's cool. That's been really fun.
Yeah, that makes them more well-rounded attorneys. So when they are part of the big corporate.
That's right.
Okay.
They've already tried a case.
That's right.
That's
okay.
Right.
All right. So I am dying to hear about your 1893 Victorian home with the gavel staircase.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
So this is a funny story. So when my husband and I moved here, he said, I would like to buy a house that needs no work. Because I'm a little bit of a visionary. I see a house and I'm like, oh, but it could be. So, he was like, I'm a little done with the, let's just no work. So we come up here and the market at the time was not moving super fast. It started speeding up right after we kind of got this house. But we come up here on a Saturday ready to put an offer on these two houses that really didn't need any work. And they both were gone. Like we came up and they literally.
What year was this, Beth?
2021 is when we moved up.
Okay.
So we come up here and the agent says to me, my agent was Tim Benjohn, and he says, well, I know these two have got offers in, so now they're not, really available, but I've got this house in downtown Carthage. And I thought, I know exactly what he's talking about. And my husband said, no work. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go see it. But Brent Tanner is not buying this house. So we walk in the front door, and a lot of the big work had been done about 10 years prior. So we had really nice, early 2000s, late 90s kind of remodeling happening.
Okay,
so it did need some work. But we walk in, and quite literally, instead of like just the regular spindles, it was gavels.
I just can't even imagine.
Yeah, I need to get a picture out and show it to you. It's really cool. And it was because the J.C. Black was the guy who built the house, and he was like the mayor, and he was an attorney. So sometimes he was a judge when the regular circuit judge didn't stop in. He eventually ran for Senate.
Really?
So it was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But that was what sold my husband. Because he's an attorney too.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. He probably, every time we do something to that house, he's probably like, oh my gosh, the gavels weren't worth it. But yeah, it's a cool house.
How much work have you put into it?
We had to work on the foundation quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
We redid the kitchen to kind of make it more functional as a kitchen. And we kind of added a butler's pantry to help with that. So now we're on to bathrooms. But yeah.
On to bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bathrooms. That's a huge thing.
Yeah. And it's helpful because like the wiring and the plumbing had been done. So that was really good, you know, but it's nice to be period. It's also nice to have a functional bathroom.
Absolutely.
So we're kind of in that space right now. Of course, they didn't have bathrooms in 1893. So I'm like, we're going to build what we want.
There you go. So do you love it?
I do.
Uh-huh.
I do love it. Every now and again, something happens and you think like we got a huge rain torrent a couple years ago when we had like a bunch of bad weather kind of back to back. And it has these really nice balconies. They're beautiful, but it didn't have a drainage because they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like coming under the door. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's every now and again something happens and you're like, whoa. But the good news is that the thing has been standing since 1893.
That's right. That's right.
I feel confident.
About this one all the time. Our windows are terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the cold air coming through.
Right.
Or the hot air. But, during the storms, all the things that are happening, we're like, well, it's been standing here
That's right.
since 1935. Ours is 1935.
That's right. So you're probably okay.
So my daughters and my husband say that I teacher them all the time. Does your family, your husband and your daughters ever tease you about being a judge or tell you that you're judging them or?
Yes, more like the lawyering part of it. It's helpful to be married to a lawyer.
Oh, yeah,
he doesn't get as impacted by the cross exam, but I will tell you my now adult child, she's 19, she's in college, but she had a friend over one time and I was asking a series of questions and the little girl must have been not being honest because Clara looked at her and said, she already knows the answers to all of these. She's just seeing what you're going to say.
And you're going to tell her.
That's right. I thought that was funny. I thought she has recognized the voice,
That is funny. Yeah. So they knew right away.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, did they ever try and get anything over on you?
Absolutely. Because that's what a teenager does. Yeah.
Did it work or did you get
Sometimes. Not all the time. I usually eventually figured it out. Me and my husband would kind of figure it out. Kids are smart. They're not as smart as they think they are, but you can usually figure it out. But often when I think about juveniles, I often think about my own children or my own childhood. And I think it's a really good thing that when I was stupid in 16, we didn't have cameras that recorded everything. Because I'm pretty sure I did a few things that my parents would not have been proud of.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, especially being an only child. My parents were a little overbearing.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, because you're the only one. So it's like, oh, it's all about you.
I know. Mm-hmm. And then I told my kids the other day, my girls the other day, they were doing something that my oldest was home. And my youngest was complaining because my oldest has left. So now she's like, I have all the chores. And I'm like, the tragedy. I always had all the chores,
Everyone thinks we're spoiled, right, Beth? Are we spoiled?
No.
I know.
Absolutely not.
All right. What matters most to you as a judge personally?
What matters most to me as a judge is recognizing that every person that comes in front of me is a person first. So they may have done a horrible thing. They may be experiencing a horrible thing as a victim. They may be living through what I think is, wow, why are we fighting about this? Right. But they're a person first. And so I think you always have to recognize that this thing is very important to them.
Yes.
Even when I'm given a first appearance, which is what happens when a defendant comes in for the first time, I slow down. That's their constitutional rights. I want them to know this is what you're charged with. This is what your bond is. Here's the next thing that's going to happen to you.
Right.
This person is your attorney. They are going to get information so that they can contact you.
Yeah.
And I slow down because, again, even though they're in front of me because they've been charged, they're innocent until proven guilty, but they've been charged with a potentially horrible crime. It's still important and helps keep everybody on the same page to take the minute to explain to them what's going to happen. It also helps if there's a victim in the courtroom for them to know what is the future of this case and what that's going to look like. But I think it's just really important to recognize that. I also tell teenagers all the time, one bad decision doesn't define you for the rest of your life. It may have consequences that'll last into the future, but it doesn't necessarily define who you can be.
Right. And that's for us adults, too.
Right.
I mean, we all make mistakes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I get help with that because we have appellate courts that'll tell me when I got it wrong.
Oh, really?
They'll send me back and say, Judge Tanner.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So how do you define justice?
So my judicial philosophy is pretty straightforward. We decided many, 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 many years ago that we would set up a federal government based on 3 distinct branches.
Right.
And the judicial branch had a very important job to do. And that job was to hold up the Constitution and to make sure that anything the other 2 branches were doing was constitutional first.
Yes.
And then we just followed the law. So if the executive branch made a law, if the law is constitutional, we follow the law.
You make it sound simple.
It is simple, I think. I do think it is. And North Carolina was kind of a holdout. We didn't really want a federal government. I tell people all the time, we were the last one to sign on.
Really?
And we wanted those 3 branches. And we set up our state government the same way. So I think justice is when I go to work every day, I make sure that what's happening is constitutional, right? We're following the law and that law is constitutional. And then I follow the law.
Right.
And I do that without regard to any favoritism to any group.
Okay.
Lady Justice is blind for a reason.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me who's on either side of the V or what the outcome is. I don't start with the outcome. I start with the law and I follow the facts to the end. That's kind of how it goes. I think that's where justice is the best.
Right.
And the reason I think that is because if you have judges that consistently follow the law, you have consistency and people trust the court system.
To be fair.
Right. And if you have judges that are clear that we don't give favoritism to one group or another, and also judges who are not swayed by fear of public opinion or reprisal. We're
Right.
just going to
Oh,
follow the
gosh, how
law.
hard is that?
It's hard. It can be hard. But that's kind of what our canons tell us. That's what the Constitution tells us. And that's why
Yes.
we have 3 different branches. And we just can't get out of that lane. So that's what justice means to me, is sticking in that lane. That's my job. I'm going
Right.
to follow that job. And that's
Yeah.
how I'm going to do it. I think that makes it fair.
And is that how you keep the emotion out of it as well?
Yes. I think, yes, you cannot let your emotion tell you what you think the result ought to be.
Right.
You have to let the law tell you that.
Okay.
And I can tell you, there are times I say to my people, I'm going to take this under advisement. And a lot of times it's because I maybe don't love the outcome that the law is getting ready to give me. Or sometimes I do need to think about it, you know.
Right.
But you have to just put that aside. The outcome is the outcome based on the facts and the law. And sometimes that does mean you deliver a decision that you don't necessarily like.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it
my
is the
goodness.
decision.
Yeah.
And if I started deciding what I liked, then
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a judge anymore. You know, that's
Right.
that's not my job. That's not what the people elected me to do. So I do think that's important.
Wow. I'm speechless right here. That was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and I talk to kids about this
Really
all the
cool.
time, about the 3 branches of government. It's surprising how many people don't think about that,
No.
you know?
No.
So, yeah.
Mm-mm. So what do you hope people feel when they leave your courtroom?
I hope people feel heard,
Okay.
and I hope people feel loved, and I hope people feel known, even if they don't like the decision that I handed down.
Yes.
I think that's what every person wants.
Right.
Is to
Right.
feel heard, loved, and known.
That's right.
So,
That's actually, I had a coach come and interview, and that's exactly what she said about emotional intelligence.
yeah,
That's what people need.
Yeah.
That's what people want.
that's right.
Mhm.
I have 100% looked at somebody and said, your bond is, $850,000. It means they're probably not going to go home.
No.
And literally on the way out the door, he said, "Thank you, Judge." But I just took
They
the
felt-
time
yeah.
to talk to them. They
Right.
had a concern about a health issue they were having. I made sure to kind of talk about that with them and
Yeah.
explain the process. And one of the bailiffs said, "This is how we can address that." And, so I think that's just important,
Right. What would you say to someone who is on the same path as you, a young person?
So my mom has great advice. I tell people this all the time. You're not a tree. You can move.
That's right.
So the path to becoming a judge is you got to go to college. You got to go to law school because you have to be a lawyer. And then you have to be engaged in politics. I mean, we
Oh,
are
yeah.
in political parties.
Okay.
Even when we were on the ballot without our political parties, we were engaged in political parties, So we are.
Right.
And so I tell young people, you go get involved. Don't wait. Yeah, don't wait now. Go get involved in your selected political party and go understand the civics behind why it matters that you vote. Go watch other candidates who are running for office and what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people, but and study hard. You're going to have to study,
A lot of studying.
That's right. But my career, I was a lawyer the whole time, but it jumped around.
Yeah.
And so I went from a big firm representing family law clients and medical malpractice defendants, doctors and hospitals.
Uh-huh.
And then I went and started representing the prison system for a
Did
while.
you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
my
so,
goodness.
right. And so it's just, I kind of jumped around,
Yeah.
So, you're not a tree, move. You can go do fun things.
So, Beth, you've had so many life experience, and it's taught you so much. How has it shaped the kind of leader that you are and you want to be?
Okay. So I think my life experiences kind of range from we have a child that has special needs and just watching how we had to work for that to sort of my professional experiences. And I think the kind of leader I want to be is somebody who never accepts good enough, right?
Okay.
So I remember going to IEP meetings with my youngest child. She has autism. And I remember, and you're a teacher, you know this.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, these are the 20 things she needs. And of course, there was always something that somebody would say, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. And I remember saying, I do. And I do appreciate everybody's overworked, underpaid. That's a problem in a lot of places. But I would say, but the only thing I care about right now is that we're going to get this child what they need.
Yeah.
And I felt the same way about my cases as an attorney. The only
Okay.
thing right now that I have to focus on is making sure I've represented this client to the best of my ability. So, as a leader and as a judge, it's easy to get involved in things and to see problems and just think, well, this problem's just too big to fix, or this is just
Right.
a problem of the system. I don't ever want to be that way.
Okay.
So that's kind of what leads me to work on things like how do we increase our appointed attorneys?
Yeah.
I'll tell you today in class, I learned about an excellent program through Methodist Children's Home. And she said to us, oh, yeah, we have these homes and they have a cool program, but there's none like in our part of the state.
Oh.
And I mean, I'm going to go write some emails tonight
Oh,
to legislative members. And I asked her, I mean, how much does this cost? How much is this, program?
goodness.
How are you funded? What does this look like? What do you need? So I never want to be the kind of leader that just says, well, that's really hard that we don't have one. Wish we did. I just always kind of want to be like, no, I want to be like I was for Emma in the IEP meetings.
Right.
No, we're going to fix it. We're going to do that.
I don't see you being like that at all.
Yeah, try not to.
You're definitely a doer.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
Definitely so. So you're running for re-election in
Yes.
2026.
That's right.
What drives you to continue this work, and what do you hope to accomplish?
I'm not done yet. I don't think God's
Okay.
called me to be done yet. And I hope, so first of all, I hope to accomplish the voters' confidence in me again.
Yeah.
Because, the Constitution says we run every 4 years as district court judges. And I think it's our responsibility to earn those votes every 4 years.
Right.
That's the choice you get to make. I hope to accomplish some of the work I've already started in juvenile court. We're working very hard on making sure our cases are timely. We've made great strides. I'm the assigned juvenile court judge right now in Hoke County, but we've made huge strides in our timeliness, particularly for our abuse, neglect, dependency cases. We started about 80% of our cases kind of outside of the time frame, and we've reduced that by almost 40% now.
Oh, that's
I
great.
cut it in half.
Right.
So it's really good. And I hope to keep learning so that I can be the best judge I can be on the bench.
Right.
I do love that part of it. I hope to see these community groups grow, like the mock trial program. I mean, I think that's amazing that we have 2 teams now. I love to see that. And I hope to see through some of the kids that I've graduated out of that come back home and make a difference in their clients' lives is kind of what I hope to see.
So now, when we want to go vote for you, do we have to be from Carthage, or is it all of Moore and Hoke County?
All of Moore and Hoke
Counties.
Counties.
Like?
Yeah,
Tell us how that
so
looks.
all of Moore and Hoke Counties get to vote for judges, your district court judges. I will have a primary.
Okay.
So we'll have a primary in March. I don't know that I'll have a general election in November, but we're on the ballot twice. So we are just like everybody else. We kind of get a primary first and then a general election. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
About running again? Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm nervous. I think, we've talked a lot about my faith. I do believe that God puts up kings and he takes them down,
Yeah.
So I do believe God has that in his hands. And if I'm supposed to continue, I will continue. I work really hard at getting reelected. That's I'm real busy right now. So I'm kind of at everything I can be at. But it is a great opportunity, actually. You get invited to more things.
Yes. Okay.
So it's a great chance to actually be out in the community. My one rule about running for office is I will never turn down someone who wishes to talk to me. I might not can answer the questions.
Right.
There's some things I can't answer or can't say or types of things I can't do. But I'll listen to you because I believe that you vote for me. So I think I work for you. That's kind of how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just, what did you tell me? You want to be heard?
Yep. Known and loved.
And loved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So when your daughters look back someday, what do you hope they say about the way you've lived and served?
I hope my daughters look back and know that when I needed to, I built my own seat at the table and that they're brave enough to do the same. And that I was always willing to do the right thing, even when that was hard and I had to do it by myself. So I hope that they have that same, you see it coming as they grow up. They have that same kind of understanding.
Okay.
So I hope that's what they learn, because sometimes doing the right thing is a lonely thing for a little while.
Yeah.
But I want them to be brave enough to do it anyway. And
Have you seen that in their lives?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I talked to my oldest today, and she was frustrated about somebody in a group, and she said, I've stood up for this. And I know it's the right thing, but somebody was kind of attacking her in her little group, and she said, I don't even know if I'm going to go to this thing tonight. And I said, Clara, do not let this person take your seat away from the table. Take your own seat and put it there and stand on the right thing. And she was like, yes, I'm going to do that. I was like, you got it.
Yay!
You got it. That's right.
Are your parents still living, Beth?
They are. They live in Pinehurst.
Do
Yes, they do.
So they get to see. I bet they're just so proud.
Yes. And let me tell you what, though. Grandparents are different as parents, okay?
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, it
I
is.
know that for myself.
Sometimes I look at my mom and I'm like, this is not the same woman that raised me. But yes, they're here. That's been amazing. It was really amazing. We had Clara, my husband and I had Clara when we were still in law school. We didn't intend to do it that way. But right before exams, we had her on a Thursday. We were back in school on Monday.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. My mom, she moved in with us to this 800 square foot apartment down in Bowie's Creek and helped us. It was amazing. So we've always stayed real close to my parents.
This is the firecracker round.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So you just say what comes to your head.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Favorite coffee spot?
Caribou.
Go-to stress snack?
Cheez-Its.
Oh.
I love a Cheez-It.
A book every young person should read?
Ooh. Oh my gosh, you said whatever came straight to my mind.
Yeah, what came to your mind?
A few of them.
Huh?
The Women is a very good historical fiction.
Okay.
What Happened to You is a very good
that?
book
What
about
Happened to You?
trauma.
Really?
It's written by Oprah and this neurologist. It's a
Okay.
fantastic book that kind of helps you learn about trauma. And my second one about trauma will be The Body Keeps the Score.
Body keeps the score.
Yeah, and I know it's an adult content, but I think it's important for young people to understand how their life can be impacted.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
A courtroom phrase you'd like to ban?
I would say objection, but no, not really. A courtroom phrase I'd like to ban. Let's see. Ooh, I don't know.
That's a hard one.
I would ban anything. Yeah, I think I like to hear what everybody has to say. It's always interesting.
Fictional lawyer or judge you relate to?
I really like the Matlock lady.
Oh, you do?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do really like her.
Watching that.
Yes, it's great,
It
right?
is
Like if
good.
people underestimate her and here
That's
she
right.
comes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best advice you've given a teenager? I like the advice you gave your daughter.
Yes. I do like the you're not a tree move.
Right.
Because I think teenagers get so bogged down in these big life decisions that sometimes I think we put the pressure on them. You know what I mean?
It's true.
I think the best advice to give a teenager, though, is you are not defined by one decision.
You're not
Good
defined
decision or
by
bad
one
decision, but you're not defined by that. Yeah.
Something surprising about being a judge?
How much love hearing people's stories.
Really?
Yes. I wondered. I mean, I'm at 3 years in now, right? Because we run it 4 years. So I'm running next year. I kind of wondered, am I ever going to get tired?
Yeah.
Never. Like it doesn't matter. It can be child support court. It can be domestic violence court. It can be family court. And we're fighting over, grandma's, china. I don't know. But I'm fascinated by people's stories. Yes.
Can you tell when someone's lying to you right away?
Yes.
Yes.
Some people probably get one over on me, but usually you can tell, if you're telling the truth, you don't need a good memory. But most people's memories can't outwork a lie.
Okay.
Yeah. So they usually fumble up.
That is very good very good advice. Say that again. Some people's memories. What did you say?
So if you tell the truth, you don't need a good memory.
Okay.
And memories don't usually outlast the lie. That's really the truth.
That's advice for us all.
That's right.
So, Beth, I always write a jingle for my guests.
Okay. I'm
As a
excited.
Thank you for being on the podcast. Here's yours.
In a courthouse built on stories, she leads with heart and mind. Fairness in her footsteps, compassion intertwined, guiding youth and families toward a steadier day. Where gavel meets grace, she brings the balance every day.
Oh my goodness, now you're going to make me cry. Oh, thank you. That's so kind.
You can play it as part of your campaign.
That would be amazing. Okay. So I need the jingle. Are you going to say I have to get the jingle, right?
Yes,
That's amazing.
absolutely.
Okay. Or like when I'm coming on the bench instead of Law and Order, I can play the jingle.
Here she comes.
That's right. That's awesome.
So, Beth, after everything you've talked about,
Mhm.
who is Beth Tanner right now?
So right now, I think I am somebody that's on the precipice of, either reelection,
Yes.
moving forward in that.
Yes.
And I think I'm also just really settled. Yeah. So I love what I've been given the privilege to do every day. My girls are amazing people.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about raising children. I get the chance to work with a lot of other people's children and watch them become amazing.
Yeah.
Inside my courtroom and outside my courtroom. And that's just really satisfying. So I think I'm pretty
Okay.
settled. Yeah.
And who are you becoming?
I think I am learning to become a leader in this judicial space, which is
Okay.
very different than an advocacy space as an attorney.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more about recognizing systems that we need to change and improve.
Uh-huh.
And I think that sort of learning what my leadership skills are there. So I think that's what becoming. And, sometimes we think about the really big picture. And one of the things that I try to remember is if all I do is impact one child's life, it's good enough.
I love that. So would you like to leave us with one last thought?
Oh, wow. Yes. Voting is the most important thing you can do.
Right.
So I tell people this all the time in the primaries and the general. Local candidates are the most important. They're the ones that touch your
Yeah.
life. District court, when I say this all the time, district court is kitchen table constitution.
Okay.
It's an easy to understand the Constitution when we're talking about big issues like we're drawing maps or gun rights or whatever those
Yeah.
issues are, and the Supreme Court is making a decision. But you're not going to go to the Supreme Court.
No.
You're probably going to see me even for that silly traffic ticket.
Right.
But that's where sort of the Constitution touches you. So make sure you know who your local folks are and make sure you get out and vote. And that's really
Yeah.
important. You can change your whole world by voting.
If we're not someone that really looks at the politics and looks at our local candidates, how can we get involved and learn more about who is running our area?
So I think it's really important you get engaged with your local party. There are also a number of groups that put out ballots, like the League of Women Voters will put out ballots for your
Okay.
local candidates, that kind of stuff. And so that's where I would start. I would
All
start
right.
kind of with, your local parties. I know people are like, oh, wow, but they are going to put out your ballots and sort of
Yeah.
know who that is. Some people are I'm really passionate, obviously, about judicial politics, but some people are really passionate about other types of politics. But get
Right.
involved. My husband's an elected official for the town of Carthage, which is kind of funny. He's a commissioner for the town.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, a couple hundred people voted in that election. It's wild. You know what I mean?
Really?
And that's who picked. And I mean, he's going to pick
Out of all the
zoning and
Carthage men. Yeah, how many residents are there in Carthage?
thousands.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And 200 people voted.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of think about like, wow, and that
Yeah.
was true of all the municipalities. So it
Really?
really is knowing, just it's worth it to be informed. It's worth it to kind of go to a local political party meeting and kind of, you don't have to go all the time, but go enough to see what's going on,
Right. Will you do speeches or will you go out and talk about what you're interested in and how you're going to change our area for the better?
Yes.
How
Yeah.
do we find those kinds of things?
So I have a Facebook page.
Okay.
I'm very active on social media. Judges were slow to that game, I think, a little bit. Yeah, because we have to be careful, about some of the
yeah,
things. But I
sure.
try to put out there where I'm at, what I'm doing, where you can find me. And I will tell people this all the time. If you've got a court case coming up and you're not sure what court's like, go sit in court. Court is funded by the taxpayers.
Right.
And most courtrooms are open.
Really?
Some of the juvenile courts are not, but most
Right.
courtrooms are open. I mean, you can go watch court any day down in Moore County or in downtown Rayford. So
Really?
that's right.
So what is your website?
BethTannerForJudge.com. It's very easy to
Okay.
find me. So BethTannerForJudge.com. That's right.
All right. I don't want to end
Oh,
because she's so interesting and I've teared up and
this has been
I
so much
giggled
fun.
and
Yeah, it's
I'm
so much
so
fun.
thrilled that you've been on the podcast
Thank
today.
you so much. This was
Thank you.
awesome.
So thank you for joining us on the Imagine More podcast. Until next time, keep imagining more for our home, for our community, and for one another. Can you imagine more?
Imagine more stories that soar, business, life, and so much more. Laughs, lessons, and local delight. It's the podcast that feels just right. It's the Imagine More podcast.